Welcome back, everyone. POW Ponder on Weather here. We've got yet another significant week ahead on the severe weather front. So let's really break down the details and start off with the overall 500 height anomalies. And we've had this boundary set up across portions of the southeast. That's the culprit of all those severe storms and tornadoes that unfolded yesterday. We still have that boundary today, and that left a good swath of heavy rain across portions of the southeast. Now we actually have more severe weather in that region today, but by the middle of the week, that ridge really starts to elevate those temperatures all the way up into portions of Illinois, and even portions of Wisconsin could get in the action with some more severe storms, even for them, while we're waiting for this significant trough that really dives in with another dynamic low pressure center going to be impacting the West Coast. That is going to be setting the stage for yet another round of severe storms that will unfold on your Thursday and Friday timeframe. But before that, we still have just some storms to deal with today. So here's that stalled frontal boundary draped across a good part of the southeast here, and right in this sector, basically southeast of Atlanta here, though they have a highlighted slight risk for severe storms right in this boundary. That does include portions of the Savannah area. It only has a 2% chance, but I tell you, on days like this, don't let your guard down just because it's only a 2% chance. You still could see some tornadoes out of this particular setup, especially because you continue to remain in the warm sector and there's plenty of fuel to fuel these storms, but definitely some heavier rain you're going to have to be contending with, and some stronger wind gusts of the 60 to 65 mile per hour range in the heat of the afternoon. But yesterday, man, those storms really left a mark. Even for the rainfall totals were pretty impressive. Some of these areas actually picked up 8, even some isolated reports of 10 inches of flooding rains in this sector. And that's been one of the reasons why they do have those flood watches and warnings in place, and that boundary drifts a little bit further south today. So that not only we have to be concerned about those severe storms, but also the flooding aspect that comes with these severe storms as well. But let's take a look at the overall rain precipitation over the next 24 hours. And it's not as much as what you saw last night, but still some of these areas could pick up possibly 1 to 3 inches of rain today, draped across portions of the I-10, I-20 corridor. You're also going to get some lighter amounts up here into portions of the mid-Atlantic across Pennsylvania, up here in upstate New York, into portions of Long Island, as well as into Massachusetts, into Connecticut, and even into Rhode Island and portions of Delaware here. But going into Texas, we do have that boundary as well, and that's going to be lifting northbound throughout the day. So as you get further throughout the day, that rain shield will creep a little bit further north, impacting San Antonio to Austin to Waco, and eventually basically just south of the I-30 corridor within the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. But all eyes will be starting to shift into the West Coast with our next dynamic low pressure center that's going to be impacting them by the time we get into your Tuesday afternoon time frame. Another system down to a 982 millibar low pressure with very heavy winds just pounding the coastline again up here into Oregon, eventually headed into Northern California, and that is basically going to skirt the coastline Tuesday, Wednesday, and your Thursday time frame with all those heavier winds and those mountain snows. In fact, as of Friday, the Sierra snowpack was 286% above normal, breaking the all-time record back in 1969 of 263% above normal. They've seen copious amounts of systems, relentless, really since December. And now we're basically breaking records, all-time records in those mountain ranges. And we're going to be adding to those totals. Another 2 to 4 feet of snow is coming for those mountaintops. And that's the last thing they need is more snow, because there's basically nowhere to put this stuff. But they're going to be able to get it because, yes, with that dynamic low pressure center, we'll be traversing along the coast, dumping those heavier snows inland and heavier rains along the coast that you have seen as of late, and all those winds is too. So definitely with some windy conditions going to be draped along the coastal regions heading into today, going into even extending into Wednesday morning, heading along into portions of Oregon, heading into California, especially in those mountaintops as well. And then as the winds turn around across the middle of the country, and as that kind of a little bit of a cold front that will be settled in overall later on tonight into tomorrow will be backing up as a warm front. And that's when those elevated winds are going to be increasing as well, waiting for this next storm system that will provide that lift mechanism. So as we go into Wednesday, here's the overall surface map. So here's the setup on the low pressure center off the coast. So notice it's still hanging off the coast, and it really is going to be off the coast for a couple days, really, draping that heavier snows inland with the heavier rains across the coastal regions. That will eventually fishtail down into central California, eventually heading into southern California, while basically southern parts of Texas and along the coast will be getting the rain shield on Wednesday, waiting for that transition day as we head into Thursday and Friday are going to be your main days on the severe weather front after today. So here's the setup by Thursday. So it's going to be a slow progression of this low pressure center as it really starts to dive down here into Southern California. And then it's going to be making it inland. So it doesn't really happen until Thursday, technically. That's going to bring the snows inland in portions of Idaho, into Montana, back into Wyoming here. And that will eventually head into Utah as well, traversing across eastbound, tapping into the warm sector. Another dynamic low. The winds really start to drape across. So by the time we head into Thursday afternoon, that low gets close enough to where it's going to be providing that lift mechanism across portions of southern plains, back into portions of Texas again, into Kansas, into Oklahoma. But it has slowed down. So, if anything, it's going to be a late evening into the overnight type setup across these regions. Because if you look at the overall timing of this on the where the dry line is, could be late Thursday night and closer to the midnight time frame. It's well out here in West Texas, and out ahead of it you got the warm sector. So any little cool down that you're going to get over the next day or two will be quickly replaced once those south winds really start to turn around. And when they do, it's going to be really cranking those dew points again and get into that mugginess type atmosphere, back into the middle 60s for your midnight dew point type temperatures, back into the low 60s in Oklahoma. And that crucial 55-degree dew point reaches well into Kansas. That puts them more into play of the severe weather front on your Thursday. So in fact, because of the slowing down of this particular system, they have actually kept a slight risk, but they pushed it back further west. So it definitely doesn't include the Dallas-Fort Worth area or even portions of Tulsa. It's really going to be setting up across portions of far west Texas, and that's into the late evening time frame. This threat actually goes until 7 o'clock in the morning on Friday. So this is definitely an overnight type setup for severe storms. I don't think this even gets going into the late evening time frame, into the wee hours of the morning, but definitely got to be on the lookout for some stronger to severe storms breaking out in northwest of the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, those places like into Wichita Falls, where they've seen some bigger hail producers. And this could be another one of those bigger type hail producer storms as we head into your Thursday night, early morning Friday time frame. Got a lot of available potential energy associated with this one as we move into your deeper and tapping into more of those warm sectors. Got the cold air aloft because we do have another cold front is going to be draping across and drifting further south by then. But the warm sector lifts much further north than what we actually saw last week, because as we extend and the slowing down of the systems, the dew points really start to surge. And it's not just a Texas or Oklahoma or an Arkansas thing now. That's going to be creeping all the way up into Missouri, into Iowa, even Illinois, even portions of southern Wisconsin. for this time of year with those dew points at that crucial 55 to dew range. Places like in Milwaukee that had some heavier snows last week, we could be looking at severe storms this week by the time we head into your Friday time frame, and back into Chicago as well. You're in that sector, could be getting some severe storms, but even into Iowa, I mean, even into Indiana, going into Ohio, even into portions of Kentucky. This is a huge warm sector this week, especially Friday is going to be your biggest day on the severe weather front that we have to be on high alert, because we have another dynamic system. By then it's going to be draping across, and now that low level jet will be really cranking across portions of Missouri, screaming across about 95 knots. There's that low pressure center well to the north, so the northwest side of that low, that's where the snow is going to be flying in portions of the Dakotas into Minnesota. On the southern flank, that's where the severe threat is going to be unfolding, and we do have an elevated risk for severe storms. So I think at the bottom level is starting the origination point into the Dallas-Fort Worth area, but it looks to be more peak heating of this type of event. It looks to start into the late afternoon time frame and really get its act together into the early evening. But the most significant lift mechanism will be draped across a good part of Arkansas, Missouri, especially in Illinois. This could be definitely a big event for you guys up there, and that just extends as we get deeper into the day in Indiana, in Kentucky, in Tennessee. So this is going to be a multi-state event of widespread severe storms, and could be widespread tornadic activity as well, especially within this corridor into the Missouri, into the Illinois. That looks to be your favorite areas for seeing some possible stronger tornadoes with this particular setup. But I think it originates down here into the Dallas-Fort Worth area and then really starts to get its act together across the early evening time frame on your Friday. But here's the setup as far as the lightning densities, kind of gives you an overall timing of the aspect of the system. I do feel this is going to be a peak heating type of event setup, which unfortunately, because it has the strongest potential, taking advantage of some of those just daytime heating aspect of it too. That moisture surge, you got plenty of high dew points, and you got low level shear. You got prime ingredients to really activate a severe weather setup, if not a multi-state type of event that we have to be concerned about. And we'll be obviously fine-tuning this setup as we get closer, but definitely Friday looks to be a significant day. We got a ton of water vapor filtering into this system. We got well above average temperatures down here into the Gulf of Mexico. Plenty of lift mechanisms. So yeah, this water vapor chart is well up there. So there's, whenever you see the deeper reds and starting to see purples, that's a lot of moisture feeding into these storms. And you got low level shear, that definitely spells trouble for big time severe storms, and if not tornadoes within this sector. So, but yes, on the surface map, this is what it would look like, as that dynamic low would be draped across portions of Iowa then. And just to the northwest side, if you're still looking for snow, you're still going to be able to get it. And portions of the Dakotas, especially back in Minnesota again. But to the south of there, yeah, you're plenty in the warm sector for areas that were in the snow last week, and portions of Chicago back into Davenport, into the Dixon area. You're not going to be in the snow aspect of it this week. You're going to be in the severe weather aspect of it this week. And I think the snow will be, at least on the back side of it, will be draped across on just to your north of there. But yes, this is the warm sector by the time we head into your Friday afternoon. So that's definitely a multi-state area that could be locked and primed for severe storms as we head into your Friday afternoon, Friday evening time spell. So here's the breakdown over the next 6 days. It's pretty active, guys. So I think you got the severe weather threat today across portions of the southeast. I think we relax a little bit as we get into Tuesday, Wednesday timeframe. But by the time we head into the middle of the week, we'll have to be concerned about those severe storms across the middle of the country. I think it's more of a later evening type of event. But definitely by Friday, it starts much earlier in the day and extends into the late, early evening time frame. but drapes well north. This should, you're probably going to be seeing storms well north with this sector. Even Wisconsin, even portions of Michigan could get actually into the action with those severe storms, even though it is late March. That's fairly rare. But the dew points do surge and they do give you the capability. But I think the main highlighted areas that we got to be concerned about, especially Illinois, especially into portions of Missouri, and starting to feel back into the Arklatex and drifting to the to the northeast with this particular setup. And then by the time we head into Saturday, this is just going to be extending off the East Coast. We'll have to be concerned about some stronger storms by then, but then it just reactivates heading into early part of next week as well. So a fairly prime setup, maybe starting on Monday, even into Tuesday, looks pretty active on the severe weather front. So guys, it's active. We're going into prime time severe weather season, and with this dynamic setup, we've got ideal conditions for more severe storms on the table. And if you're snow lovers out there, we still got some snow on the table, but it's in places that you've seen already a lot of snow so far this season, and you're going to be adding to those totals across the Intermountain West and of course portions of the Dakotas, through portions of northern Wisconsin, and as well as Michigan and far northern interiors or northern portions of New England. So I appreciate you guys watching. Do like this video and definitely hit the subscribe button, and catch me next update where I protect you before and after the storm.